What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Marvel. So in today's video, we're predominantly going to be talking about the Fantastic Four movie. As the director at last night's UK launch event for the movie, he revealed some pretty interesting details. Also, there's some huge leaks out there for Doomsday, which tie into the Fantastic Four movie, which would make sense. Also, there's some chatter about Spider-Man being in Doomsday, but there's a lack of evidence. But I guess I can see where people are coming from. So if you're new around and subscribe to never miss the content, check us out on Instagram at Warstu, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, and check us out on TikTok, WWarstu. So let's break it down. So when Tom Holland isn't filming in America, generally he lives in London with his family. So at the moment, Tom Holland's being seen in multiple places. As we know, they're in pre-production for Spider-Man 4, and they will be shooting in Glasgow shortly. So, Tom Holland was seen in London, the place where he lives, playing paddle with Simu Liu, who is currently shooting Avengers Doomsday in London. Well, I don't know if that's true, but he's working on the movie. I don't know how long he's shooting for. So, people are taking this for affirmation that Tom Holland's going to be in Doomsday because he's been seen playing a sport in London. Okay, I think that evidence is really weak, lads and ladettes. I think the more supporting evidence is the fact where Tom Holland was on a video and he recorded a video for a fan. And Tom Holland was like, I just got done talking, or I was just got done with Chris Hemsworth, and he'll get us in touch at a later point. I mean, that bit there could indicate that, yes, it did look like he was on a movie set. But even if he is on Pinewood Studios in London, in England, or just outside London, that doesn't really affirm it's to do with Doomsday. They're also going to be doing, like, pre-production Pinewood Studios. It's a place for Marvel movie making. So that predominantly doesn't mean he's in Doomsday, okay? I'm just coming from the side that I've seen a bunch of TikTokers making out that, yeah, it confirms he's in the movie. We know he's in the movie. He's Earth 616 Anchor. We know he's in the movie, but don't make out it's confirmed. It's not confirmed. Tom Holland literally lives in London. Zendaya has also been seen in England recently at Wimbledon. We know she will be appearing in Spider-Man 4 because Warstu told you this a year ago. She was always going to be in it. Of course, she's got a lesser role. So last night at the Fantastic Four UK launch event, kind of weird. They're doing the 30-minute thing again. I mean, yeah, it was a blue carpet, but I don't think unless they show the whole movie, it is a red carpet. So the Fantastic Four First Steps cast touchdown in London, and director Matt Shakman didn't waste any time revealing the movie takes place in Earth 28. You recall Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness took us to Earth 838, though we're not sure what, if any, relevance this might have, as Jack Kirby's birthday was 8/28. So that likely solves the mystery. And then I want to say roughly 30 minutes of information which was screened. We were lucky enough to be on hand, and the extent sneak peek confirmed Puppet Master, Mad Thinker, Diabolo, the Wizard are all exists in the Fantastic Four reality. One of the Red Ghosts, Super Apes, also makes an appearance. As we know, it was rumored for over a year now that there's going to be a bunch of villains in the Fantastic Four movie, although you're not really going to see many of them. Like, it's going to be like a highlight reel, and this just affirms it. Now, we've already been over the test footage, the 30-minute. It is test footage because it's not the full movie. We've already been over that. So what's more interesting is information's come out, may reveal the reality that Doctor Doom hails from. And this is interesting, okay? So as we know, this Earth that the Fantastic Four are from is Earth 828. That means some people are wrong. And we know it looks like it's in a retro, futuristic New York City inspired place based in the 60s. So some information's going around that there is allegedly a scene in the Fantastic Four movie where the major world leaders are all together discussing the threat of Galactus. And there's an empty spot with a flag that says Latveria. Now, if Latveria does indeed exist in this reality, then it stands to reason that so does Doom. Perhaps Downey's variant knew Reed Richards in college, but was scared whilst trying to find another living variant of his mother in the comics. He tries to rescue her from hell. If he was then lost in the multiverse, he may have seen Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards since. On the other hand, it makes just as much sense for Doom not to hail from this same reality as the Fantastic Four, especially taking into account what we know of his appearance and plans for the multiverse if previous rumors are accurate. The villain's home has already been destroyed. Still, Avengers Doomsday being where Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom battle for the first time is a little disappointing. Marvel Studios could have done with maybe one or more movie featuring the team to establish Doom before he takes center stage in a two-part multiversal saga finale. But it wasn't meant to be. And also, it's worth saying that a lot of people seem to think there's going to be 3 Avengers movies, not 2. Plus, with Doom being a last-minute pivot from Kang the Conqueror, though that was always going to be wishful thinking. Now, I kind of kick back on that, because you can go back on this channel 2-3 years. I've always said that by the time we got to Avengers Secret Wars, Doctor Doom was going to be appearing in some capacity, so I always kick back. So, now we know where Doom potentially hails from, potentially Latveria. We know his post-credit scene where he steals Franklin Richards from Sue, and then we have the whole alleged plot leak that the whole reason why the Fantastic Four go to the main 616 timeline is because they need to get Franklin Richards back. Now, the reason why Doom steals Franklin Richards is a little bit ambiguous, and I don't know if I believe it, but it's from the resident news scooper James Mack that implies that Doom needs Franklin Richards to help revive, resurrect, awake the Scarlet Witch. Little bit skeptical on that part there, lads. A little bit skeptical. But at the same time, if you do go over the same information, it says Reed Richards uses Wakandan technology to track Franklin and discover that he is too in a parallel universe. And he deduces that Doctor Doom is there with him. So Reed Richards, allegedly the smartest person in the world, or is Ironheart? Who knows? It's interesting. So it's worth going over. The events of Fantastic Four arrival on Earth 616 take place. The Thunderbolts and New Avengers are set to encounter them. Reed Richards reveals that Doctor Doom has kidnapped their son, Franklin. Also mentions Galactus, who previously tried to capture Franklin, his unmeasurable powers. Bucky, unsure how to handle the situation with Doom, goes to speak to Sam. So it's interesting that all this information does really back up other information. And sadly, it does seem the case that, yeah, Pedro Pascal sadly is going to be everywhere, even though he's an average actor. And I know I get kicked back every time I say that, but I've got to be honest. I mean, hopefully by the end of the Fantastic Four movie, he may change my mind. But based on his performance in Wonder Woman 1984 and The Last of Us, I don't understand why he's been cast. I do understand why, because basically no one wanted the role. But what is also interesting is all this information saying Sue is the leader of Fantastic Four has kind of been dispelled by people watching the first 30 minutes of the Fantastic Four. And the way it's been worded is that Sue leads from an emotional standpoint, where she is the mother of the Fantastic Four family. So that would make a lot of sense. So there's still the big mystery. Who was the secret actor that they hid when they pulled him onto this Fantastic Four set? They covered his face up at the rap party. They covered his face up in front of the trailer. Well, even though no one's actually seen it yet in the sense of a test screening or a press screening, the movie does come out in a few weeks. So we're going to find out shortly. But a lot of people seem to think it is RDJ. I don't think it's RDJ because they'd have to pay him a lot of money. And also the fact they had a public screening recently, and they want everyone to know that RDJ's in the post-credit scene. And literally, they're not hiding it. That is everywhere. But that's a post-credit scene. It's predominantly got nothing to do with the said movie. But there's still this massive rumor going around that there is the Council of Reeds in this movie. As you know, we've seen in multiple trailers, it looks like Reed Richards is trying to build some kind of multiversal traveling bridge in order to get to a different universe. But the most likely candidate would be for who the mystery character is, would be your boy, Warstu. No, Iron Gruffin, the original Fantastic Four from the Foxverse. It would make the most sense. And there is rumors there is a mid-credit scene with Iron Gruffin, Reed Richards, with Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, with Jessica Alba, Sue Storm, so on and so forth. But this theory doesn't make sense to me, because if they're going to hide Iron, right, why would they not hide the rest of them? And then there's the other kind of theory that Chris Evans is literally in a scene with Doom. Who knows who this mystery character is? But every single kind of commentator, I mean, they're not really creators, let's be honest. They're commentators, right? Regardless to how you portray your information, they're commentators. I mean, yeah, creators, commentators, it's the same thing. Doesn't really matter how you edit the video or how you display said video. They're still commentators. Everyone is still pushing toward it being Ian Griffin, but it could be anyone. It could be John Krasinski. And I don't think it's going to be any of them. I don't even think it's going to be the Council Reeves, but it is interesting what information comes out and who people think it is. It could literally be anyone, but that mystery is still out there. No one's solved it. Hopefully, it will be a big what the F moment, but Marvel is Marvel, but they've kept it pretty secret for a long time now. But I just can't see it being Robert Downey Jr. It could be Miles Teller. It really could be anyone that's played a character in the previous versions of the Fantastic Four. Now, does us knowing where Doctor Doom comes from, is that a big reveal? Not really. It kind of does reveal his origin, because that would imply that, yes, Doctor Doom in this reality is from Latveria. Marvel doesn't copy the comics one for one, but they can't exactly make up a new origin story for Doctor Doom. But then you did have the Russo saying, yo, Robert Downey Jr. is writing his own story for Doctor Doom. It's interesting. But there is a lot of hyperbole, a lot of nonsense out there. Then you got resident RPK, Daniela RPK, who makes up a bunch of stuff. Very hit and miss track record. Marvel still hasn't figured out the third act for Doomsday. But then we had, you know, someone that worked on the movie, Anthony Mackie, coming out saying, yeah, the movie ends in a massive cliffhanger. It's going to have to. So they're going to be shooting for roughly, I think, like up to 10 months. And they still don't know what the third act is. That's complete nonsense. Really is. What they are probably guessing, like most of these so-called scoops, is it's more likely something like, yeah, they're not sure exactly how it's going to finish, because during principal photography do change things here or there. Like, they've probably got a very good idea of how it's going to end, but it could change. That happens in a lot of movies, and some people made out it was a massive big deal that they still don't have a third act and they still don't have these actors locked. I mean, like I say, it really is a case of who's got the biggest following, because most of these scoopers just make up nonsense from Reddit and you make out they know everything. I mean, it's just nonsense. Show me the receipts. Okay, if you know what they haven't got a third act, show me the receipts. You can't. I do not believe they don't have an idea of how this movie's going to end. Do you really think they started shooting a movie without knowing the ending? Sure, Marvel's infamous and famous for doing reshoots, but if you really think they have no clue of how Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 will play out, and they're just randomly shooting stuff for fun, then I really don't know what to tell you. But like always, guys, it's lighthearted. Don't take it too serious. You know what I think about the scoopers. It's just fun, right? You know, it's just like fan fiction mostly. But sometimes they guess things right. But it's interesting to cover this stuff because for some reason you lads and ladettes seem to think it's true. So we keep covering it. It helps build the Marvel community up hype, because damn, they need it. If this Fantastic Four movie doesn't bang at least 700-800 million, then Marvel is cooked. The same with Superman. If Superman doesn't do well, then we know the superhero genre is cooked, because there has been some decent box office this year with Lilo and Stitch that did pretty well. Minecraft did pretty well. You could argue they're both remakes of a few franchises, but then we've had lower budget movies like Final Destination and like Sinners do pretty good numbers. Make a good story, market it decent, and people will go watch it. That's pretty much where Marvel and DC go wrong most of the time. So like always, guys, I will catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch you later.